My name is Stuart Fensterheim. I'm the proud owner of the private practice called the Couples Expert Scottsdale here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I wanted to make a video that might help the process along for those that are seeking out couples counseling. I receive a great many calls of those seeking and investigating finding a couples counselor, and there's a lot of questions that people have that you would expect. Questions that, if answered, might help reduce some of the anxiety that comes into seeking out a couples counselor for your relationship. So in this video, what I'm going to do is address most of the more common questions that I seem to get when people call seeking out counseling. Probably one of the more common questions has to do with the whole counseling process. So the way it works is this. Once you've reached out to call and see about scheduling an appointment with me, it's as simple as making a phone call. Call me at 480-442-3306. If I'm not available because I happen to be with someone, please leave a message. I will then call you, and in our first conversation, we'll talk briefly about why you and your partner want to come in for an appointment, and then we would just schedule something. I have gone back and forth through the years of whether or not to have someone else scheduling my own appointments, and I absolutely am not going to do that. I schedule all my own appointments. My phone is also my cell phone. It's also my personal cell phone. So I am available pretty regularly, and I try very hard to contact every person that calls me within a 24-hour period. If you have not heard from me within that time, please call again and leave another message. On that phone call, what we'll do is very briefly talk about why you're coming in, a little bit about the things that have gone on in the relationship, and I don't want to talk too much about that because I absolutely want to do that with your partner here. We'll then schedule an appointment. Scheduling for me is as simple as calling and I schedule an appointment at that point, or another way of reaching and scheduling with me is on my website. I actually have a pop-up which is a scheduler. It's called Visita, and you'll see that it pops up. At that time you can schedule both a 30-minute free phone consultation if you would like that, or you could actually schedule an appointment. I try as hard as I can to keep it updated, and any appointment that you schedule there, I will call and validate and confirm that. If you do schedule it through my website, I'm going to be calling you because I absolutely want to talk with everybody that I'm going to be seeing, because our relationship as a counselor and client starts from that first phone call. So please call me there, and at that point we would schedule an appointment. The next question that a lot of people have is what happens in that first appointment. That first appointment is where everything sort of begins. I have a requirement of having that first appointment to be an 80 to 90 minute session. The reason for that is I don't want to rush it because a lot happens in that first appointment. You and I will get to know each other. We'll talk about some of the reasons that you and your partner are struggling, and my role begins to be a facilitator to help you and your partner begin the process of talking about those things that may get in the way of you feeling close and connected to one another. Therefore, we would talk about some of the experiences that have happened, some of the reasons why you're seeking counseling at this time, and what I try to do is have a pretty thorough assessment done at that first appointment. Sometimes it takes more than one session for our assessments, but for the most part, what you could expect from that first appointment is us to go through the paperwork, for me to talk about some of my policy and procedures, and then for us to begin to establish some goals for the counseling. Because unless we know what we're working toward, we're not going to accomplish it. So there we're going to establish some preliminary goals, and then we're going to also talk about whether or not the kind of model that I use, which is a model called emotionally focused therapy, fits for you. If not, we can talk about whether or not I would be the right person, or sometimes we can use different models because I have lots of experiences with different models. So the beginning session is really about why you're coming and how can I best help you with that. The other thing that I know is until you sit down with somebody, you don't really feel whether or not there's a connection with us. There needs to be a connection. One of the research that I remember reading quite a while ago is the success or failure of counseling is really about that relationship. So that first appointment is really when we begin to determine whether or not we can establish a working relationship together.